All right, Camryn in between. Excuse me. Got a whole bunch of mess from what I'm working on. So Camryn in between. Who is Camryn? This episode is about who Camryn is and why Camryn matters to me. What did I do when I was 19 and I really did not know how to have a relationship with my dad? So my whole family's here. I'm just going to be talking like myself, but I just want to remind my African American family, I have to live with everybody. So it's just very important that I let you understand, like, we're all here. Everybody's here. But for everyone else, hold on. But for my African American family, I got to live with all these other people. And so I just want to say, everybody here who is family, you are welcome. You are welcome. If you think that has to do with the color of your skin, I'm going to let you sort that out. But if you already understand that you are family, just want you to know, you are welcome here. Behave accordingly. So, but to address everyone else, my European American descendants, we've got to get better at measuring our barometric pressure, our soil conditions. And this is the soil our mothers and our grandmothers gave us to work with. But in order for me to get you to Camryn, I have first got to say, I am the descendant you did not expect. And I'm not here to throw mud at you. I'm not here to guilt and shame you. But you got to understand, when my dad taught me to show respect to my elders, I was learning obedience. Okay? I was learning obedience. I did not learn obedience to whiteness. So my dad, just by watching him interact with everybody at the church we grew up at, we did not have a segregated Sunday hour. If you're familiar with charismatic circles, Assemblies of God, Pentecostal circles, you got to understand, while there's the whole Word of Faith movement and all that to talk about, I was not raised segregated on any of my Sundays. I was raised in multicultural spaces. In the one church was Word of Faith, the other was Assemblies of God. And I did not experience a surrounding that only looked like me. And if you can't imagine that, that's fine. I'm just letting you know, I'm not imagining it, I'm remembering it. You understand? There's a difference between imagining what a fully integrated Sunday morning is like. But here's the thing. To get you to Camryn, I've got to say, my thing that all y'all have with me is that I remember. Okay? And for everyone who can hear me when I speak, if I am just white to you, you don't see me. I'm not having the conversations that everyone's having. I'm having the conversation I'm having. And I want to get you to Camryn. When I was 19, I worked at a daycare. This is the work I could get. The people I was hanging around at 19. One of my friends worked at a daycare, and I'm over here working at Ace Hardware. Well, not Ace Hardware. I'm working. I can't remember where I was working before the daycare. But anyway, all this to say, I was around friends. One of them worked at a daycare. I'm like, man, I could work at a daycare. Like, that makes a lot more sense to me than going and working harder for little to no pay and a bunch of locker room humor that I have never understood. I guess I was too nerdy in the band. I guess I didn't pay attention to the game well enough. Anyway, so when I was 19, I worked at a daycare, and while I grew up in evangelical charismatic circles, and I am very familiar with everything I grew up around, it's this. Camryn means so much to me. And I'm talking about my first child's name. And I don't even know who my partner is. Camryn means so much to me. Because when I didn't know what to do with my relationship with my dad, I was working at a daycare. And this was before I ever heard the phrase reparenting or the word reparenting. Like, this was my reparenting experience. That language wasn't going to be all over social media for a while yet. Interestingly enough. You know, that's early hashtag and algorithm shit. But one day at the daycare, I'm giving my friend snack. And I picked a chair up, and one of the kids said to their friend, did you see Mr. Gabe move that chair? I'm like, yeah. And then the kid sitting next to them said, well, my dad could do that. My dad could pick up this table. And the next one's like, yeah, my dad could pick up this table. Like, it's going from the chair, to their dad. And then the next one's like, yeah, well, God's so big, God could pick up this whole building. And I had my back to these little ones about the time that Max, at the very end, once it filtered through all our friends that saw it, saw Mr. Gabe move a chair like it was something. I had my back to him at the sink, and little Max said, yeah, he's so strong, he could pick up that big old cross. And I'm so glad my back was to him, because I was floored. I just immediately started weeping. In the circles I grew up in, a book that was going around was called Wild at Heart. And while I wasn't much into reading, I had only gotten an abridged version of Robin Hood from Food World in Irondale, and of my own volition. But when I'm curious what people are talking about, I do engage in a different way. But I got that book, and then something about the way he was talking about wounds that boys only get from their dads. I'm going to key into the part that made sense to me. When I was reading this book, it was one of the first times I was able to acknowledge to myself how much I really didn't appreciate a lot of the ways my dad behaved with me. I had been remembering it, doing my best to alchemize it, but reading that book during, their nap time, that was here it is. My dad really behaved in some ways that I did not appreciate. And from the chair down to Max, and I have my back to them, I'm weeping because Max has said, yeah, he's so strong, he can pick up that big old cross. And I felt like God was telling me, I know what you're going through with your dad. That's a lot. That's a lot. You don't know what to do, and that's honest. But I am strong enough to carry this. Right now, there's some kids who need you to pay attention to them. My parents divorced when I was 17. There's a kid in that classroom whose parents were going through a divorce. His name was Camryn. And we used to fish the magnetic jigsaw puzzles. I knew what he was going through, and I had my assignment. Camryn's in the in-between, and it looks like I am too. But hey, man, when you're ready, just come on through.